Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Night of the Podcast. Whoa!
Before this week's episode of Dark Night of the Podcast, a message from our new sponsor. Hi, I'm Shauna, and I want to know, do you like BJs? Because Troy does. And give us a call today at our number 1-800-TROY'S BJs. Where Troy will proceed to fly out to you in any state, any country, anywhere in the world, and provide you with hot, steamy, sensual BJs. 1-800-TROY'S BJs. Come and get them. That was our new sponsor, 1-800-TROY'S BJs, who just came on to Dark Day of the Podcast, has been helping us out, Troy. What do you think of that?
Well, if you only knew what I had to do to get him to sponsor us, you know. But I'm going to say this, and this is my whole review is just going to be, I have plenty of BJs for Mr. Patrick Ross. I'm just putting that right out there.
Like, listen, guys, it's coming hot and heavy today. It's Smut Day at Dark Night of the Podcast. Troy and I really haven't gotten deep into, and we say deep penetration into a smutty, sexy horror movie. I mean, I guess sexy. I mean, sexual horror movie in a long time. I can't think of the last film we talked about that was very sex focused, and maybe like Angel, I guess. But this takes the whole sexual aspect of the horror genre, and it brings it to the forefront, if you will. This is a film that really is not scared to lean into it. So, guys, bring out your meat sacks and get ready to bareback, because it's Smut Day at Dark Night of the Podcast, and we are covering Species 2, a smutty movie. Wouldn't you say, Troy?
Yeah, this is going to be an X-rated episode, so if you have children, cover their ears, although they just heard Roger's intro, so a little too late. But no, yeah, Species 2, a film, I'm jumping right into this franchise with the sequel, because I've never seen Species 1, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Apparently there are dozens of these films, so I guess someone's a fan of them because they keep making them.
I know exactly the fan base that's clamoring for the Species series. And it's probably nerdy sci-fi dudes who are into tentacle porn and jack off in their mom's basements. And I would say probably gay men, because you know what? I love a busty broad that's gonna deep throat a tentacle and kill somebody at the same time. So I have an appreciation for this series, this film. I didn't know that you hadn't seen the first one, and at first I was going to be like, oh no, let's not do it. But part of me is actually kind of like, you know what? Why the fuck not? Let's just go full hog and get into Species 2, because this is a film that I really think when you know nothing to expect at all, this film probably blindsided you a little bit. What is your first takeaway from this movie, Troy?
I don't feel like I needed to see the first one. I'll just put that out there. I mean, I wasn't confused or lost or anything like that. I have a pretty good grasp of possibly what went down in the first film. I don't know. it definitely is a sexualized movie. I'm not going to say that it's a good movie. I will say it's very entertaining, and I was entertained by it, and it does go by very fast. That is another thing, is this movie, I feel like this movie flies by for being, 90 minutes long. It's brisk, and there's rarely any dry spots. It's pretty action, 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 action. I was a little apprehensive. The opening scene of the film is a little goes on a little bit too long and is kind of a little bland. Not much is going on, and I was like, oh shit, what am I getting myself into? Just a bunch of people on a spaceship. This is going to be like Alien ripoff. But then it transitions into what it is, which is basically sex-fueled aliens raping women in grocery stores and birthing children that just come out of nowhere, like 8-year-old kids that just pop out, a whole barn full of them. That, what? It's an odd movie, but I was also surprised at like some of the talent that signed on for this. James Cromwell, an Academy Award nominated actor. Marge Helgenberg, is that her name, from CSI? There's a lot of like talented people in this film, and then you have just Natasha Hendricks, boobs out, just like, here I am. It's it's quite the juxtaposition, I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the caliber of talent they brought onto this project. The first film was a pretty big success, and this film was not. And this film is like notoriously really hated on. It's I think 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it is a film that I look at and I'm like, listen, like you said, is this a good movie? No, like this film, whenever it's talking about anything scientific, it breezes through it so fast. It is explaining things to me. I don't have any idea what they're talking about, but in a way, I kind of appreciate that. Like, fuck it. I don't need you to bore me with an hour of scientific mumbo jumbo. Just throw out some random words that sound important and get straight to the point. And this is what that film does. And so this film certainly does not lack for entertainment value, as you stated. And I'm just shocked at overall as much of this film as I can sit and laugh at and think, wow, this is a joke. There's also a lot of aspects of this film that held up, really held up. Some practical effects, some actual just moments of fear that developed. This movie does have some actual scares in it, which I was kind of shocked by. But there are things that happen in this film that are kind of just not like anything else of the time, or really anything else that I can even compare it to, especially when we're talking about this whole idea of these human women getting impregnated and birthing these aliens. The way it's executed is something that'll always kind of stay in my mind. The first time I saw this film years ago, I'll tell you, the first time you see that in the film, and we'll get to it soon, it really was something that like took my breath away, and I have not forgotten that visual to this day. So I have to give this film some credit where credit is due. It's not a complete failure, but it's also a slut fest, and I can't wait to discuss it with you. So Troy, any sacks you want to squeeze up on before we slip it in?
I think we just need to slip it in fast and hard and get right down to business with Species 2, because there's some interesting elements to this film that, definitely some imagery that I think will stick with you. And I will say, I mean, I would say my biggest positive regarding this film is the practical effects. There are some really effective practical effects, and it just enhances the film greatly. Let's start talking about Species 2, which, I mean, it's a obviously it's a space movie, an alien movie. So you begin the film with a trio of astronauts who are landing on Mars in order to collect some dirt samples, correct? And I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's a long, like I said, I was like, oh God, please don't drag this out, because it does go on for a long time. All the banter back and forth between the astronauts on the ship versus the people in the control center down in Houston, and a random bars of people cheering when the ship lands. But you do get to meet who ends up being our lead, Patrick Ross, played by Justin Lazard, who I had don't know who he is, but boy, is he a sight to behold. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I have never seen this film, but I could imagine me seeing this film back when it came out as a young gay. I would be probably creaming myself the entire time because this man is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, he is a fucking dreamboat and a half. He almost gives me young Jensen Ackles vibes, those pouty lips, those striking eyes. And it's funny because his career isn't really anything that really did a whole lot overall. There's not a shit ton of credits to this guy's name, but when he's on camera, he's captivating. And he has to be captivating in different ways. He has to read as like America's hero because he is the first individual to walk on the planet of Mars and plant the American flag. And you mentioned all the news channels soaking it in. And I don't know if you caught like on the spaceship, they even have like all the logos, like the Pepsi logo and everything like that. I like that because it felt very commercialized, which I feel it absolutely would be. And he's the face of it. So he's the face of that campaign. But also as this movie progresses, he gets overtaken by something that is an alien force that is very not human. And his body and his face and specifically his eyes really channel something that I think comes across really nicely in this role. It feels cold and hollow and empty at certain key times when it needs to. And so he does great with the role. He is so fucking hot. I'm dripping. Like, we want to talk about hot and heavy. There's one specific moment, and we're going to circle back. But Troy, we got to, I already know you're going to point it out. There's a moment he's fucking a gal and he rolls over on top of her and you see his furry little ass and it is a fuzzy butt cheek. And I was like, this is a gay man's learning experience for a young gay boy who is, in the 90s, going through the journey of like, what am I attracted to? What turns me on? Seeing that fucking furry ass plastered on the big screen. Oh my God. Losing my mind. So yeah, I mean, it's super hot. He's super hot. And he does a great job in the role.
Oh, I was mesmerized. I'm like, oh my God, this man is fucking gorgeous. Like, I'm going to spend the entire podcast just talking about how fucking gorgeous this man is. Those blue eyes, and the film does him a lot of justice because there's a lot of close-ups on his face, and he has just a striking facial structure. I mean, talk about the very definition of tall, dark, and handsome. And yes, he's not afraid to show skin. It's just, it's really a compelling character, a very striking character, and I think they really cast the role very well, considering, the fact that he has to be able to be attractive enough to be able to land all these broads that he starts fucking and killing. I mean, he's just picking them up left and right. Hotels, grocery stores, fucking conventions that he's supposed to be speaking at. I mean, hello. I mean, I don't blame these women. I'd be in the fucking closet with them too, kissing them and telling them to come to my Lincoln suite later. Those two sisters, we'll get to those. That's me and you.
That note's in my already here. That note's right here, Troy, that you and I have a cameo appearance in this film as those two fucking old whores. But but right now, I mean, the eagle has landed. They say it. He's a perfect hero for these perfect times. Like, I mean, that, and he fits that part so well. The other two characters alongside him, specifically the female, I think her name is Anne, doesn't get explored as much. Dennis does. He comes into play later. But it's just the three of them. I'm happy that they didn't overwhelm us with this massive crew. It's just these three individuals on this space mission, and things go awry.
Well, we do see like they cut to a mental hospital where an old gentleman, again, I'm talking about the talent that they have attached. Peter Boyle, good old Peter Boyle, is this old gentleman who is watching everything unfold on the TV, and he starts to literally have a freak out, screaming, I told them not to go. I told them not to go to Mars. Now, I'm assuming he was in the first one, or ties back. have you seen the first one? I mean, does it connect to this? Is it like...
It does, but he has a moment specifically later where he just sits and gives exposition. He's what kind of ties everything together to the idea of this Mars landing that happened. And he does say later on that he was put in the asylum because he was not cooperating. Mm-hmm. So he's sitting there, I told them not to go to Mars. And yeah, it's like really intense. And it sets an ominous tone right off the bat. I'll even say even the Mars footage, and I was hesitant, Troy, because I know you don't like sci-fi, but I do feel like this is a film that once you get out of space, it feels significantly less sci-fi. But even the way it's shot, some of the visuals here, some of these Mars like orbiting shots of the spacecraft are actually really kind of beautiful. It's actually really well done. The director is Peter Medic. Am I saying that right? Medic. He did The Changeling. And so there's a certain visual quality here that I think does come through. And so these space shots make for a very pretty opening sequence, though it does drag on a bit. What I do like, though, is this reveal of this dirt sample basically busting this lid, this canister open, and starting to seep out this like disgusting, chunky, slimy ooze that starts moving towards the three astronauts as they're getting ready to take off, as they're getting ready to depart. And it takes its time. It's like seeping towards them. It's clearly sentient. And then it does end with kind of like a CGI fake out a little bit. But it is kind of like the first moment of seeing anything really starting to go out of their control, if you will. And it's so simple, and you really don't see what happens. But I kind of like that. I like that there's this weird time lapse, and all of a sudden you come back up, and you can hear back down on Earth, they're radioing up to them saying, they've dropped off for 7 minutes. We can't get in touch with them. And you don't really see what happened. You don't see how this thing actually took a hold of them or how it got into their systems. They just kind of wake up and you're just like kind of right there with them being like, what the fuck just happened? At first I thought it felt like kind of like a fake out, but I like that they do this because there's something unsettling about not fully understanding about how this thing got into their systems. You get what I'm saying?
I do. I do like that it's very subtle. Yeah, we're told that they haven't responded for like 7 minutes. And this is when, and this is being broadcast like on the news. The news is like, oh, we've got word that the controllers are radioing this shuttle and they're not getting a response. And this Peter Boyle's character is watching, and that's when he like throws the chair at the TV. He's like, I told them, God damn it, throws the chair. But the crew suddenly come to, and they don't really remember anything. They radio and they're like, oh well, we're fine. We just had a little malfunction, but we're back. And that's it. I mean, that's what we get. So a very effective opening scene that doesn't give too much away. Again, I was getting a little nervous that the spaceship stuff was going to go on way too long, but it doesn't. And like you said, once we get out of this opening scene and back down to Earth, so to speak, the pacing of this film is dynamic. It moves so fast. In fact, we hard cut right away to naked Natasha Hendricks, who I'm gathering Syl is the alien being that was in the first film. So yeah, so we got Dr. Baker here who created a clone of Syl who she calls Eve now. And she's basically designed to discover a means to defend us humans in case there is another alien invasion of Earth. So basically it's Syl's DNA. The thing is, though, she has to be guarded from contact with any male species, the male gender. Otherwise, it'll cause her to malfunction, so to speak.
Fuck.
I mean, yeah, the amount of like fucking that these people want to do in this film. The only one that doesn't get any is poor Dennis Gamble. He's trying to fuck the whole movie and he can't get it. I think he gets it without
Marg fucks either. Poor Marg doesn't get anything.
Well, I mean, I think her and what's his name go off at the end, but yeah. But so yeah, that's we're introduced to this Eve character who, again, an alien. She's brought to consciousness as other doctors and generals watch on. There's some weird thing they do where she goes kind of unconscious and then she's screaming and maybe having a vision or something, and then all these sores appear on her body. And then the one Colonel Burgess, who is kind of, I guess, supposed to be I don't want to say the villain, but you know what I mean. He's kind of an asshole. He's pissed basically that Dr. Baker is providing so many comforts to this creature, as he calls it. And she says, this is not a lab animal. This is part human. And he says to her, well, you need to figure out how she's going to be useful to us, or I'll get rid of her myself. And Dr. Baker's like, well, you're welcome to replace me anytime. This is my doing, and I'm going to take care of her. And Eve is a very sympathetic character. You can tell, yes, if she's an alien, she has feelings. Dr. Baker has to console her and tell her, I fully think of you as more than just a lab experiment. You are a human with feelings, and I took this job so that I could make sure that you are not harmed.
In my mind of mind, in my heart of hearts, I know deep, deep down that the initial ensemble that Eve is revealed in, that blue, very revealing, it's nothing but blue fabric covering up her giblets and her niblets. I'm convinced that was the initial inspiration for Lady Gaga's iconic Poker Face music video ensemble, because it just screams it. Now I look at it and all I see is Poker Face. It's that blue V cut. But honestly, what is wrong with these people, that this poor fucking woman, regardless of her being part alien, this poor woman, why does she have to be dressed like this in front of all these men? They just wheel her out, breasts out. There's just nothing but a blue V covering the bare essentials. Other than that, she is fully revealed. And you can't allow her a shred of decency?
Did Dr. Baker dress her in that?
I think they've got to see, the thing is, they're testing this mist. This mist is used all throughout the film. I don't know the specifics. All I know is it makes these aliens react. One of their powers is they regenerate, but this mist tends to have more of an effect on them. So all those sores develop on it, make it weak, but then eventually they heal after a moment. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Again, there's so much science in this they do not explain, but they just move right through it, and I don't even question it. I'm like, okay, they got this mist gun. Poor Eve. They walk Eve out after she's misted and has all those sores all over her body, and they put her in a goddamn Victoria's Secret silk mini robe. Like, again, this poor woman just got hit with this fucking acid mist, and now they put her in this tiny, slutty little silk robe. Doesn't this woman have any clothing that doesn't make her look like a fucking slutty baby? Like, everything she has, everything Natasha Henstridge has in this film is just overly sexualized. Everything except for that sundress.
Oh, the sundress! I love this. Well, her panties fly up when she jumps. They make sure to give a nice panty shot when she jumps. Yeah, but my thing is, I was so confused because the whole thing is, we don't want her to be sexualized, or we don't want her to feel sexual feelings, because if she does, that's going to cause her to, like I said, malfunction. So on one hand you have that, but on the other hand, they're dressing her like goddamn Victoria's Secret runway fashion week in thongs and floss bikinis, and it's real weird. But I get it. Natasha Henstridge is, let's admit it, she's fucking beautiful, and I'm sure the filmmakers knew their audience. I think you nailed it at the beginning, the type of people that are watching this. So they knew what they were doing there. This next scene, again, I love the fact that this just isn't eye candy for women, for men, because Natasha Henstridge is beautiful. All of the women in this film are beautiful, tits out every chance they get. But even, again, going back to the lead, Ross, he is absolutely stunning. So even the women and the gays get some eye candy, because the next scene is him. They made it back down to earth, and he's sitting there on the examination table, shirtless, those short shorts, just riding up in the right spot, being checked out by the doctor, and the doctor tells them that they're in remarkable health, and he opens the curtain to reveal a bunch of horny nurses. Just like, what is this?
Troy, this doctor revealing these three astronauts in their undergarments to this gaggle of horny medical professionals. Like, it just screams lawsuits across the board. Everyone should be fired. And poor sensible Anne, the lone woman, covering herself. But honestly, this is a problem. This would not go over by today's standards. All of these women just standing there, horny nurses. I've never seen any hospital or clinic or whatever, wherever they may be, astronaut rehabilitation center after coming back from space. I've never seen this many slutty looking women working in one place, let alone a medical related facility. It's such a weird moment. I think, again, they really want to make it clear this is a horny movie. Like, we are leaning into it, even the humor elements of it. I think they're kind of setting the groundwork. But yeah, this is a shocking moment, and everybody should be fired.
Well, you know what they say, Roger, and I do believe it's the truth, is, nurses and doctors are among the professions with the most people that are uh, cheaters, that cheat on their spouses or their partners.
I get it.
So yeah, so do I. So seeing all these horny broads, cheering these half naked men, I get it. But the problem is the doctor immediately tells them that they are not allowed to have sexual contact, any sexual activity for 10 days. For 10 days, they cannot have sex. And of course, the woman, Anne, is the first one to be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Because she has a husband, as we find out. She wants to rail him, which she does, honestly. None of them listen. None of these people listen, so that's a problem right there. They're fucking the first chance they get, right?
Everyone in this is so horny, but I understand. But like a sexual quarantine, is that the thing that they do?
No,
is there ever a scenario where they would require a sexual quarantine? I mean, thank God they're doing it here because it makes sense in this universe. But is that like a real thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I would probably ignore it too.
I'd be fucking everybody. I'd be getting back from space. I'd be fucking everyone. This alien virus would be spreading like a plague. Only men's buttholes would be blowing out because obviously the aliens got to get in there somehow. And I won't be hooking up with any ladies. Sorry, ladies. Not to surprise any of you, but I am a gay man. But I'd be doing a lot of damage is the thing. I'd be getting out and I would be all of Cleveland. Aliens busting out of their asses.
Can you imagine aliens busting out of Flex? Trying to go to Flex and just being
you and I showing up and
tentacles everywhere.
Oh Lord. Watch out.
So we cut to a banquet or like a welcome home reception that Patrick Ross is attending with his wife. Keep in mind he has a wife. And his senator father. His father's a senator. And the banquet is there basically to represent the space program and the astronauts. And Patrick is supposed to be the keynote speaker of the bunch. Yet when he's called up to stage by his father, we see that he instead has snuck off to a fucking broom closet with some woman that he is making out with, almost fucking, until he hears people start chanting his name. And she's like, oh, meet me in the Lincoln suite later.
Yes, ma'am. The debutante, as she's credited, the debutante, a matured woman. She ain't no spring chicken, this gal. I like that. And he's all up on it. Before going out to see his father. Again, you mentioned played by a post-Babe, pre-Babe 2 pig in the city, James Cromwell, who's delivering a nice southern drawl with this role. And they make it clear even in this little interaction that he has a tense relationship with his son. It's explored a little bit because he's such a capable actor. I wish they would have even gone further with it, but I'm happy we get some time with him in general. But yeah, I mean, so quick that this dude gets back down to planet Earth that he's fucking gals, and not just fucking one of them. He's fucking them two at a time. I mean, he is a greedy boy, and I get it. If I look like that, everybody, everywhere, fucking him. So yeah, it right off the bat, he is not listening to the rules, and he is getting right to it, and it really leads to what is building up to the centerpiece of, for me, the film. I really think that there's some really great things to come after this, and I think this movie does kind of replicate the same kind of building tension that exists in this sequence a few times over. But for the first reveal of really what's at play here, this is technically the first kill of the film, this scene, still to this day, I said it before, it takes my breath away. I love this moment so much. I'm so excited to talk about this scene with you. I've not brought this up on any of my favorite countdowns or any of our lists that we have discussed on the Patreon, and it really belongs there. And I feel like this movie is just, I've kind of like been ignoring how much this movie, how definitive this film was for me at a young age. But God, watching this moment again, Troy, was really awesome for me. I had a blast. I really had a blast. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this scene that's coming up here.
I mean, it's great. It's great. He gives his speech, and we get that kind of ominous stare into the camera with those gorgeous blue eyes. And then it hard cuts to him going up to the Lincoln Suite. And this broad now has her sister with her, who's even older than she is. And they're like, oh, my sister wanted to come. We share everything. It doesn't faze him at all. And he immediately goes in and he's boning them. And I guess I was surprised at the, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe aggressiveness of the sex scene, particularly him with his grunting and moaning and oh God, you usually don't hear that in a sex scene. Usually it's the woman that's kind of making all the noise, the pleasure noises. You really don't hear much from the guy. So I was kind of caught off guard in a good way with that, but he's fucking the shit out of this woman. And he gets done with her. He climaxes inside of her, apparently. She gets up, goes to wash up, I guess washed her vagina out, and her sister hops right in bed. And I mean, he wastes no time. I would think you would need a few moments, to get it back up, but he's right on top of her, shoving it in, and going to town on this woman. All the while, I mean, it's aggressive. He's pumping the shit out of her, grunting. And in the bathroom, the other sister starts to look in the mirror, and her stomach just starts to inflate. And I mean, it does a lot of intercutting between her stomach getting bigger and her kind of freaking out with the moans of her sister and Patrick having sex. And all of a sudden, tentacles burst out of him. And this poor woman on the bottom of him sees this, and she starts screaming, get off of me. And tentacles are everywhere coming out of him. And he's now full alien. In the meantime, the woman in the bathroom, I mean, this is what you're talking about, right? She falls against the wall, and her stomach is about the size of a huge, and it literally explodes open, and a human child's head busts out of her fucking stomach. It is insane how well the effect is. We also have to mention, in the meantime, Eve, the alien back at the lab, was watching baseball, but somehow she is now in tune with what's going on, and she starts to freak out and starts to scream. And there's that moment, at the same time when that woman's stomach busts open, that she squeezes that baseball and crushes it. And they're like, oh shit, what's happening with her? But this whole fucking thing is insane.
Let's take it beat by beat real quick. Because, I mean, first of all, thank God Troy and I have finally been cast together in this duo, this duo, this dynamic duo. This sister, the fact it's her sister, why couldn't she just say, here's my wealthy friend who also likes to get fucked aggressively? No, this is my sister. We do everything together, including fuck men. Really? I mean, I get it. Hot in concept. But how many sisters are actually out there fucking dudes with their sisters? I mean, this... If I was him, I would be like, whoa, I would react. I would audibly react. I'd still do it. Absolutely. But first of all, I'd be like, whoa, you're genetically born. That is by birth. That is your sister? Or is it just is that just a cute name you have for each other? Whatever. He's getting it in. First gal, she's seeing stars. He's really getting the job done well. And you can tell. And at first, before her stomach starts to inflate, she's really feeling herself. She's so satisfied. Her sister takes to the bed. She goes in the bathroom, and I love the initial visuals of the stomach extending, starting to pulse. And you had mentioned like it's starting to build up with like the mounting orgasm coming from the sister. But God, I mean, this is a really wonderful example of two things happening simultaneously, cutting back and forth, and giving you just enough attention to either moment. It doesn't feel like you're cutting away at the wrong time. It doesn't feel like you're cutting away to avoid anything. It doesn't feel like one of these beats is being cheaped out. You get that full, amazing practical execution of that stomach busting open and that face extending out. And it's that long shot, Troy, that pushes in on her stomach as it starts to split. I mean, it is just wild. It's gnarly. I cannot think of anything, especially anything prior to this. I can't think of anything that compares. But what's really unsettling is after knowing what's happened here to the debutante, going back to the sister and hearing her reaction turn to fear, from orgasm into fear, as these tentacles start to form and he starts to make that alien like groan, that almost that shriek that he makes, and her screams, she's saying no, stop. I mean, it's very heavy rape implications. I mean, not even implications, it's a rape. She's saying stop, and he's clearly not. And you see the fear in her face. You see the physical reaction in her body. And luckily, again, they cut away from it at the right time. But knowing what just happened to the other woman, it just takes that fear and it takes that discomfort and it really amplifies it. And yeah, I think this is truly a phenomenal sequence. For this scene alone, I mean, this film deserves some kudos because it is unlike anything I've seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, it's gritty, it's gross. It's uncomfortable to watch, especially when the one sister starts screaming, "No, get off me, get off me." And he just keeps getting more and more aggressive. And I'm just the effect, Roger, of her stomach, the head coming out of her stomach is phenomenal. All around, yeah. I was like, wow. I was wowed by this, and I don't know if the film ever like recaptures this, but it certainly tries, and I got to give it credit for that. But this is hard to top. There's the whole beat and pacing of it is really well done, and yeah, then you find out that basically what's being birthed from these women are not babies, but these are 8-9-year-old kids, boys, seems, because we cut him leading the two little boys that he birthed with these two women into a farm shed, into a barn structure. So, and we find out that that's kind of what he does throughout the film. Every time he fucks a girl and has one of these offspring, he takes it and puts it into this barn on this abandoned property that belongs to his father. And the next day, he does basically tell his dad that something happened to him and he can't remember, and he hasn't felt right since he got back from Mars, and that he's scared. And the father reacts in the worst possible way, tells him basically to man up, quit acting like a spoiled child. You're a Ross, act like one. You're going to be president one day. And if I have one word of advice for you, it's keep your dick in your pants and your eye on the prize. Not the reaction that I would want from my father, but I mean, I guess his father is a senator. His father has high hopes that his son is going to follow in his footsteps and get even higher, because he tells Patrick several times that he is going to be president of the United States one day.
Looking that good, yeah. Abso-fucking-lutely, he will.
Oh, can you imagine?
It is, I appreciate here, and when I said earlier, I wish we went a little further with this, because, this is a film of the 90s, and it is, for the most part, it's pretty shallow. Like, we've said it before, you get a lot of tits, you get a lot of ass, but I appreciate that the character of Patrick is, like, such a masculine role, such a manly individual, and he's forced into this role. It's clear by his father. Not saying that he wouldn't be masculine or any of these things without his father's influence, but then when he does try to show any form of or any expression of vulnerability, to confide into his father, it's completely shut down. Like, he's not allowed to express or feel any of that. And that feels really, I think, kind of timely, both then and now. Like, right now, I think that's something that's being really attacked, is men, having the opportunity, the option to feel and to express and to emote and to go through their own emotional journeys and process them as needed. And so he's basically forced back into this role, which does a lot of damage. I think is part of the reason that he doesn't get the help he needs early on. One thing I'm a little confused by with Patrick is, like, sometimes he's clearly himself and he's aware that there's something wrong. He's aware something's going on. He knows to go to his father. But then other times it seems like he's fully overtaken by the alien and making just really awful choices. And I'm wondering where that line exists. Like, is he constantly, uh, present? Is Patrick constantly mentally part of the decisions that are being made, or sometimes does he just lose full control and does the alien completely take over? I'm just a little confused at how it works, but, like, it's a minor gripe overall because, again, he's really good in the role. And yeah, his dad just shoots him down. It's kind of a sad moment, and you don't really get a lot of interactivity between the two of them moving forward.
No, I assume that the more he had sex, like the more the alien part took over, because there is a moment coming up with his wife where he is very consciously telling her, I should not have sex with you. I'm not in the, we should not do this right now. But she insists, which doesn't end well for her, but we'll get there. So we now meet Dr. Orinsky, who is calling the mental hospital to speak to who ends up being Herman Cromwell, Peter Boyle, who we saw in the beginning throwing the chair at the TV, a patient. And we see that now he's can't take a phone call because he's padded in a room with a straitjacket, I'm assuming for throwing a chair at the TV, right? He tells the mental hospital, please let him know that Dr. Orinsky called for him. He gets off the phone and he has a vial of Patrick's blood that happens to just all of a sudden roll off the fucking side of the table and smash onto the ground. And the puddle, much like what we saw at the beginning with the wet substance moving towards the astronauts, this puddle goes right towards the corner of the room, like very, very, very purposeful. And this poor doctor gets up and follows it, and he's freaking out, and it starts to go up the wall, and he's just standing there wondering what the fuck's going on, when all of a sudden this tentacle out of nowhere comes ripping through the wall and basically rips his stomach out. And we see on the other side there is a full-fledged alien figure. I think the alien design for this film is quite interesting.
It feels like a sexy tentacle porn alien.
Yeah. It's definitely not your typical alien being. There's something really, I don't even know the word, Roger. I was trying to think of the word when you see these things. I don't know, mythical maybe about it. It's really interesting design. But this poor doctor has his stomach ripped out. Dr. Baker and the colonel and everything find out that Orinsky was killed. She takes some samples from him and finds out that the DNA that is on his wound is basically comparable to Eve's, but she can't figure out how that can be because Eve has not left the compound at all. So she concludes, rightfully, that there has to be another alien out there running wild, which is concerning because, they are well aware of the consequences of having one of these aliens just running willy-nilly, especially if it starts fucking everybody.
I can't believe how quick they are to come to the right conclusions in this film. All throughout the movie, Laura is always calling it right. She's like, well, here's my theory, and she's always correct. Good for you, Laura. I think of, like, one thing that's kind of shocking about this film is there are moments of CGI in this movie that are actually really impressive. And then there are other moments of CGI in this movie that are so bad, I don't understand how it got released. And, like, it really is like that turning point where CGI started to get its footing, I would say, around this time. Around the millennium is really when you start to see CGI figure out what the fuck it's doing. But we saw a lot of bad examples of CGI in the 90s, early 2000s. Along Came a Spider, that car accident sequence, things like that. This film, though, like that blood sequence, honestly, is pretty effective. I think it looks pretty fucking cool. Don't know where the alien came from. It can't be another alien. That has to be Patrick, because Patrick and Eve are the only two aliens. So it's not like the blood turned into another alien. I'm assuming the blood was drawn to Patrick because he was on the other end of the wall, and then he reached through and killed him. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, Laura's like, there must be another alien. There must be. And right she is.
She she concludes it has to be one of the three. Like that's the only way it could have got back down to Earth. So they basically go on a mission to round up the three, find them, and make sure they're not having sex and get samples of their blood. And in fact, we cut to a scene where we are introduced to Press Lennox, weirdest name in film history, Press Lennox, played by Michael Madsen, who emerges from this embassy and says that, oh, it's secure now, hostages are free. And we find out it's just a demonstration. He works for embassy security, and he runs these little drills, to make sure embassies are going to be secure if there was ever an emergency. And he's called away by this Colonel Burgess, who's the asshole from the opening film, who basically tells him, hey, we have another alien on the loose. We need your help again. So I'm assuming Lennox was in the first film. Michael Madsen. He says, no, absolutely not. I already made a sacrifice for my country. I'm not doing it again. And Lennox says, this is on the government. If they were stupid enough to send the people up to Mars knowing what could happen, then let them clean it up. Burgess ends the conversation with saying it'll be $1 million cash if you do it. And that's all it takes, because the next scene, he is on board. I mean, $1 million. I'll fucking do it.
Well, the Colonel also takes his keys. I like that. Like, he's like, I'm going to leave. And then he's like, where the fuck are my keys? And he just holds them up. And then he doesn't really have a choice. But Press wasn't in the initial film. Yes, that's correct. And yeah, so he's back on board. The gang's all together once again, if you will. That really is the worst name in cinema history, Press Lennox, though it's short for Preston. So, I mean, at least his name isn't actually Press. I like there's one point where he's being pursued by Carter, and literally one of the lines that Carter says is, Press, we got another fucking alien on the loose. And some of the dialogue here is just so basic, straight to the fucking point. Things people would not actually ever just say. I feel like this is sensitive information. These two guys are just chatting about it during this big display that's going on. It's a weird little conversation that takes place, but it's quick to the point. He's now on board, and he's going to be reunited with Laura, and they do not like each other, or so it seems.
So it seems. Yeah, because the Colonel takes him to Doc Baker's facility, where he walks in, is immediately fixated on Eve on that fucking treadmill. He cannot stop staring at her. Baker comes out, Laura comes out, and is absolutely fucking pissed, because remember, guys, the male species is not supposed to be around Eve. So she orders them out. And so the Colonel is like, this is what you're seeing on the treadmill there. That is basically a clone of Syl that Dr. Baker made. And Press says, well, what happens if she escapes? And it's that moment that we're told that she's programmed. If she leaves the building, she's programmed to have a toxic chemical explode in her brain. These two start to just petty argue back and forth. I'm assuming issues from the previous film. And the Colonel has to yell at them and tell them, you guys, shut the fuck up. We have bigger problems, and you guys are absolutely going to work together, whether you like it or not. So cut the bullshit.
I do want to acknowledge a couple of Press's lines here. At one point, he says, last time I fought with that alien she-bitch, I almost got myself killed. And then at another point, he says, what is this, Syl Light? And I'm like, okay, go off with your late 90s humor, Press.
Yeah, some of his lines did not land well with me. There is a kind of a forced humor on his part. I mean, I like Michael Madsen as an actor. I feel like he's the type of actor, though, that delivers kind of the same performance each time. He plays the same character over and over again. So I don't find him very dynamic in this film. And yeah, those one-liners really do him no favors. But these three together, though, or these two together, they're fucking sleuths, because they do track down the fact that Dr. Owinski made the call to Cromwell right before he died. So they head to the psychiatric hospital to speak to Cromwell, who tells them that he and Orinsky were colleagues at Stanford, and that there was fossils that were found on Mars that had led him to believe that Mars had life on it way before there was life on Earth. And that his conclusion was that an alien life form must have visited Mars billions of years ago and destroyed their planet. And that's why he was adamant in telling the government that they should not take a trip to Mars, because alien DNA could affect the human and biologically contaminate human DNA. They didn't listen. Instead, they fired him from his job and they committed him to this mental hospital. And Laura asks him, well, why do you think Dr. Orinsky called you the night he died? And he says, his response is, to tell me I was right. May God have pity on our souls. And that's the last you see of this dude in the film.
Exposition, confusing, absolutely. But at least they're fast with it. They're in there. They get us the necessary backstory we need to understand what is happening. It makes not a lick of sense, but whatever. The story's moving on. And so they easily come up with this theory. Again, Laura, just with the theories, she's coming up with them. This theory that warmer temperatures could cause the alien DNA to defrost. And just like that, it's that easy. They're so quick to conclude that these carriers could literally, they say, fuck the Earth into extinction. They come up with this idea, and I'm like, you guys are right. You're right. It's amazing, but you're absolutely correct in all of these hypotheses that you're coming up with.
Yeah, fuck the Earth into extinction. What a better way to end the Earth, though, Roger. I mean, I cannot think of a better way to go down than to fuck my way off of this Earth.
I'd be in Vegas with Troy. We'd be at Fun Hog, living up to the name. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, there's a couple new ones we have to visit too, apparently.
I
know. But so she wants to do a DNA test on Ross and Dennis Gamble, before the sexual quarantine ends. She's like, we got to do it. If they start having sex, we're doomed. Find Patrick first. I'm assuming because they know he's probably the one more likely to fuck than any of them, because he could pick anybody off the street and they would agree to fuck him, I bet. Cut to him in bed with his lovely wife. I talk about a throwaway role. But this broad is horny for her husband, and I don't blame her. She gets on top of him, takes off her top. We see those titties. She's excited. She's like, I've been waiting for this. And he tells her, we should hold off. I don't feel like doing this right now. And she says, oh, you lay there. I'm just going to do all the work. She starts going down on him. I mean, it is, she wants that dick, and she is bound and determined to get it, Roger.
Just like me, and just like you, bound and determined to get the job done, and get it done she does. We don't see the full process. We see her little mosquito bite niplets revealed from under her blouse, and she's ready to go. And then it cuts away. So the escalation here is another thing I'd like to point out. They know so quickly, they know what's happening, and they're also like, this is serious. So they're showing up at these people's houses, and they don't even knock at this point. They're already kicking doors in. They show up, and they first show up, I think, at Patrick's home, and they bust in, but he's not there. He took her to, I guess, their cottage or something, I'm assuming. They're confused. Not at the house.
Because when they bust here, did you not think that was weird? Because when they bust into what's supposed to be his apartment, doesn't it look like it's like a studio bachelor pad? It's unorganized, clothes, but he has a wife. I was really confused.
Yeah. But I mean, then they bust in there, and then they go and they're like, well, we got to go to Anne is the next one. They got to go find her. And this homely woman,
her legs spread open the second they could, Roger. She had a stopwatch on, and the minute it hit 10, that bitch had her legs spread.
For her Ichabod Crane looking husband, I'm sure has a donkey dick, because any man that's that tall and lanky is hung like a horse. So she's about to get the job done right, I feel. But little do they know what's coming too. If anyone's got it bad in this movie, it's poor Anne. with
Yeah.
her bad haircut. She's not even homely. Shame on me for calling this poor woman homely. She's fine, but they give her such bad hair. Why does she have bad hair like that? People didn't have hair like that in the 90s. I guess it's because she was in space. They probably cut it all off.
I mean,
but still,
she's very matronly looking. Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
In this homely nightgown.
Oh my
Like,
God.
if anyone here should be sexualized, it's the gal that was up in space who's ready to get her legs spread and her fucking stomach inseminated. And that fucking happens. And let me tell you, it maybe doesn't hit quite the fever pitch that the initial sequence hit, but this is also quite shocking what happens here, Troy.
It happens fast. Like, luckily, we don't have to see her and her husband fuck. We get the aftermath of it. She's like, oh, that was so great. I waited forever for that. And in the meantime, Baker and Lennox are rushing to her house. They get into the house just as all of a sudden she's laying in bed with her husband and her fucking stomach just inflates and she's fucking screaming her head off. Her husband gets up. He's like, what the fuck's happening? What is this? A giant tentacle pops out of her stomach and grabs her husband by the head and lifts him up against the wall just as Baker and Lennox bust into the room and spray that mist on it and cause it to the husband's dead. You got poor Anne there in bed. Her stomach is just busted open and she's just laying there dead. I mean, yeah, this was pretty shocking because it happened so fast. Like, there's no warning, there's no build up to it. She just starts convulsing in the middle of a conversation with her husband, and before you know it, that fucking giant monster tentacle is out of her stomach. It's crazy.
A lot of things to like about this moment. Her Jeff Goldblum looking husband turning in with that face of shock as her stomach starts to erupt and you see that tentacle slither across the bed. It almost looks like stop motion animation or something like that. It is really well done. And you get these really great shots of her screaming in slow motion as she's realizing what's happening. But when this thing grabs onto his face, it lifts him up. It's almost like something from The Thing, in a way.
Yeah.
And he's lifted up, and then all of a sudden Press and Laura bust in with those goddamn mist guns that I don't know what the fuck those guns do. But Laura's spraying the mist all over Anne, and they shoot the tentacle off so it drops from the extension from her stomach. So she's just sitting there with this deflated gut as her husband's face is mauled off and he dies. And then after everyone clears out the room and Laura checks Anne's pulse just to make sure that she's in fact dead, which she clearly is based off the expression on her face. And poor Laura just looks off into the distance and she says, oh, this is awful. Just awful. And I'm like, Marg? What the fuck is that line delivery? Is it Marge or Marg? I think it's Marg. Is it Marg or Marge? Listeners?
Marge? I always thought it was Marge Helgenberger.
Is it Marge? Maybe
know.
It's Marge. I thought it was Marg Helgenberger.
Maybe.
Either way, I mean, she's been in the game for a long fucking while. And at this point, I think she should know how to deliver a line like, oh, this is awful, just awful. Or maybe just cut that fucking stupid line. It's such a stupid line. She has so many moments where she has this additional little bit of banter that they add on that just feels so out of place. And this one really takes the cake. But I kind of love it because it's such a cheesy little moment. But yeah, this is such a great scene. I really, really love this scene.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. But yeah, now Anne is dead, and so we cut to Gamble. He's the third one trying to get some puss with that broad he picked up, and at least he's trying to do it right. He took her. He's taking her to a yacht, and they get in the yacht. They get on the bed. He's on top of her, and he's like, "Oh, wait, is it in yet? Is that it?" And the girl "Oh, there it." She starts moaning, and going, "No, no," and then he's like, what? And we see behind him a whole bunch of officers are there to get him out of there. And he's like, man, I can't get a piece of ass, can I? And of course they take him they're taking him basically for DNA testing. So he needs to, so he's in the lab, they're testing him. He's real defiant, what the fuck's going on? The colonel asks him, do you remember what happened during that 7 minutes that you guys lost contact with us? He says, absolutely not. I don't remember anything. And then the colonel says, what about Anne Sampras? Has she been acting any differently lately? He says, no, not that I know of. Why? What happened to Anne? And the colonel has to reveal that Anne is indeed dead. And Baker calls him right at that same moment because, of course, Dennis is getting really irate. He actually gets up like he's going to physically have a reaction, just as Baker is able to call and say that the DNA doesn't match what was found on Obrisky. So it has to be Ross. That's the logical conclusion, right? Because Anne is dead. It's not Gamble, so it has to be Ross. So they have to get on a mission to find Ross.
I love like this whole like dramatic buildup as he's getting this blood work and he's demanding answers, and that there's that awkward like lesbian lab technician who is like, I'll have answers for you in a moment. And then like he's like pounding his fist and being like, what happened to Anne? What happened to Anne? And she's like, the test is almost done. 5 seconds to conclusion. And then like he's like finally like they turn the guns on him like they're gonna shoot this guy, and she's like, negative. The results came back negative, and it's just this unnecessary dramatic bit with this random technician we never see again. But yeah, I mean, at least so now we have another character that can jump in on the fun. Now it's really the focal 3 are Laura, Press, and now Dennis. Dennis becomes part of the group, and he's really there for all of the big moments moving forward. I'm not sure if that would actually play out where they would just be like, okay, random astronaut, come along on this top secret jurisdiction like mission that we have to go on to kill this alien. He doesn't really seem suited for this journey, but nobody questions it, and I'm fine with it. I like the character.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's pretty he's kind of the goofy the one there to make the jokes, kind of the sidekick character. So but he does fine, he's likable enough. There is this really impressive autopsy sequence with Anne where she the cadaver looks fucking great. It is a great practical effect. And as Baker watches on, the surgeon cuts into the body, but all of a sudden a fucking another tentacle explodes from this thing's mouth, Anne's dead body's mouth, and Baker has to take that fucking saw and saw it in half.
A really cool sequence. Poor Anne, they don't do her any justice at all. This cadaver, and understandably so, it would probably look that way, but it is the ugliest cadaver I have ever seen in my life. And it is really impressive. As they start sawing the cranium, they do the whole skull. They cut all the way around, and you hear all of it. And yeah, it's pretty fucking disgusting. It really is. But yeah, I mean, and so now you mentioned earlier the pacing in this film, like the stakes are high, at least I'll say here. If anything, that moves a little too fast at certain points, but they keep this thing moving full speed ahead.
Yeah, because it's the next morning. Patrick wakes up in the morning, and I mean, talk about this reveal. I mean, he turns over and his wife is dead next to him with her stomach ripped out. And then at the foot of the bed, we see that little boy's head pop up like a goddamn Jack in the Box, staring at him. He gets into his uniform and gets a shotgun, goes outside of the porch, sits down in a chair. Just as Gamble has gotten there to check on him, Gamble's running up to the house, sees all this unfold. Basically, Patrick takes the shotgun, puts it in his mouth, blows his head off. Bad CGI. Even worse CGI when it grows back, because it immediately, his head grows back.
This is an example of some of the worst CGI I maybe have ever seen in my life, ever. And that's a bold statement, but like, up to this point, like the CGI really hasn't been bad. There was one moment earlier where we saw the sores like recover on her skin that was kind of like, but overall, the CGI here's been pretty good. This looks like something out of like Grand Theft Auto gore. Like it is so simple, and the shot of the head getting exploded, it just doesn't look right. And as it starts to rebuild, it's missing all of this texture and all of these layers that we would now expect to be there. It really is something where they couldn't have done the exact same thing, but they could have executed something as a physical, practical effect that would have been significantly more effective and probably delivered the same basic idea. I feel like this feels like a cheap out because it really does not look good. But hey, I mean, I give them credit for trying. They really try to show the whole thing. It feels almost Terminator in a way, as it does that like rotation around him as his head is rebuilding. But I just think it's an example of an effect that was just, they tried a little too soon. It was just too advanced for the era.
I agree. It's really bad. I mean, 90s video console bad. You hit the nail on the head there. It's bad. But Gamble sees it unfold and he rushes back to tell Baker and Colonel what he saw with Ross, and Baker tells him, "Oh, unfortunately, you guys brought some foreign hostile DNA back with you, and we need to find the offspring that Ross is creating before they enter the chrysalis stage, and that will turn them into adults. And once they're adults, we're fucked, because when they're adults, they basically have a sex drive, and they're going to go fuck as many people as they can, as many humans as they can, and as they said earlier, fuck the earth into destruction." Patrick, in the meantime, has made up. He's full alien now, obviously, and his whole hobby now, Roger, is just picking up hookers left and right, rough looking ones. He don't care. He's just picking them up to fuck them.
Hookers in latex, hookers. I mean, and these girls are seeing him and they're smiling big as day because they see this hot fucking guy driving up. They probably normally, these rough looking hookers probably normally get men with 3 teeth, eye patches. They probably get the Colonel. The Colonel's got a dead eye. We haven't mentioned that.
Yeah.
Just a random dead eye for no reason. And these gals, they see this pretty individual driving up and they're like, oh, wow, easy night tonight. Easy night. And then their fucking stomachs explode. And he's just racking up the corpses. He goes to that strip club here in a little bit with that impressive performance from that stripper. I mean, he's got a standard of women. I mean, it's not like he's getting women with wooden legs or they're rough looking hookers, but I mean, he could do worse too.
Oh.
But regardless, I mean, this guy is getting so much ass. Good for him.
My
I
God.
mean, if I ever become overtaken by an evil force, I hope it's like something like this.
He's fucking left and right. I mean, fucking one, dumping its body, picking up another, fucking that one, dumping its body. He goes to that shady hotel. This hotel full of hookers, Roger. This makes the hotel an Angel. The hooker hotel in Angel makes that look like fucking Little House on the Prairie. This is full of hookers. They're hanging out of the doorways. They're hanging out of the fucking office. They're hanging out in the parking lot. I have never seen so many fucking hookers in my life, and I live in Las Vegas.
It's like the best little whorehouse in Texas set. He drives up and there's all these little houses. All the women are like popping out like, hey, like I was really expecting a musical number. You got that really like over the top gentleman running the brothel, the pimp, if you will, who's got that absurd moment later on involving his wheelchair that is completely out of nowhere. And like this weird sense of humor that's added to these really dark moments. Because another hooker gets nutted and gutted. These gals are getting nutted and gutted in 2 blinks of an eye, and there's just a trail of hooker carcasses left in his wake. And so it does bring our leads to this brothel, this outdoor brothel, this like mini village brothel, if you will, where I guess these women just live in these tiny huts and fucking them too. And they're brought there to look at this latest corpse.
Yes. Oh yeah. He pays. Yeah, he's they find a dead hooker in the motel. So Lennox and has to go and question the owner about if he saw Ross there. And the owner's like, oh, I haven't seen that guy because they come and go here so quickly. You get it? Come and go. And Lennox literally like takes this old man in a wheelchair and shoves him shoves him out in the middle of the fucking street. You just see a shot of him wheeling down the fucking driveway. It's so absurd. He's like, and his wheelchair just runaway.
And then it hard cuts. It cuts like you don't know what came from him. You don't know if that man ran into that vehicle. Like, I mean, they left us really on a cliffhanger with that man.
Oh.
And I don't know anything about any of these hookers, any of this backstory. You never revisit it again. Weird. It's such a weird moment.
Well, Ross has moved on from the strip. Yeah, he's moved on from the hooker hotel because he's a strip club. He pays that $100 to fuck. And she leaves with him. And then we hard cut to him just burying the body, burying another hooker. And then his little offspring is watching. And then he leads his little offspring to the barn. And this is, I mean, when he opens the barn, Roger, this barn is full of children, just full of them. I mean, how many broads has he fucked? Because this barn, like, there's no more room for children in this barn.
This barn is overflowing with cherubs of different various sizes. They're growing rapidly. And there is at least 28 children. He has literally killed 20 women to have this volume of offspring. And we've only seen a handful of them. That poor stripper. I mean, that stripper gave a show. We lost a good one. That woman should not have died. That stripper was earning it that night. Did you see that fucking number? Her spinning around, tweeps and peeps so out, revealed for everyone to see. And now, I mean, he just carries her and he buries her body. And he's like, God, man. I mean, this guy, he seems to be aware of what he's doing is what's weird. He still has an element of like upset that he feels about it, but then he's also so channeled in on spawning more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's just in his DNA at this point to fuck and make more offspring, right? Because the purpose of making the offspring is to have them grow into full-fledged adult aliens that can then destroy the world and overtake it, because all the humans are going to be dead and the world's going to be overtaken by these fucking aliens. We get back to the lab and Baker is asked if Eve has telepathic abilities. Can they send her after Patrick? So we get this explanation that she doesn't want to send Eve anywhere near Patrick because if they were to mate, their offspring would be unstoppable. So they can't mate. Can she at least, though, track him and tell them where Patrick is? Baker reveals, yes, there's a way, but if we do it, it's going to make her more alien and increase her aggression and her sex drive and her strength. The Colonel basically orders her to do it. So she has no choice. She goes to tell Eve, I'm sorry, I have to do this to you. It's going to be painful for you. But Eve's response is, I want to help. So they put her in this machine and go forward with the procedure. And she's immediately connected to Patrick. And she knows exactly where he's at. And we get this long, drawn-out sequence at the grocery store where Eve is barking directions to Baker, who's on the phone with Lennox and Gamble, who are headed to where Eve is telling them where Patrick is. It's a grocery store on the corner of Center Street and Market Street. So they're there. She sees that he's going in the aisle. He sees that he's talking to some woman. Apparently, he's on the front of a cereal box, like a box of Wheaties, because this poor unsuspecting woman who's just trying to do her grocery shopping recognizes she has a box of cereal in her hand, and when she sees him and she looks up, I mean, her face just lights up. She's like, "Oh my God, it's you! Can you autograph this for me?" And he's like, "Oh, of course."
Poor fucking Darlene. That's her name, Darlene. Ive's full of hope and joy. She's just so happy and pleasant, and what happens to her is so horrible. This whole bit, it's rush. It moves really quick, but again, I'm not going to slam the pacing because they get it done, and they get it done fast. Natasha, Eve, looking straight off of beautiful Jennifer Page album cover in that red ensemble. I mean, like, when they make her look good, they make her look real good. And so they set her down in this contraption. They keep talking about it, the Psychotron or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. Apparently they're blasting her with radiation. And again, with Marge coming up with these theories that just work. I mean, this whole plan works exactly as she predicted it. Immediately, there is not a moment of hesitation. The moment they hit Eve with radiation, boom, she's in telekinetic link, psychic link with fucking Patrick, and she knows where he's going. She gets to the fucking grocery store. She's telling him where to go. Poor Darlene's just buying a box of cereal, and she sees this guy, and you see this guy perfectly propped up against a stack of cereal with his face on it. You think you're not going to swoon with this man looking at you, and he's just buttering her up. He's just slathering her with compliments and flirting with her. And meanwhile, Press, who has an issue with just barging into places instead of coming in and being a little, I don't know, maybe a little more stealthy, busts in, and Patrick like hears this, and he takes this poor Fräulein, this poor woman, and he takes her hostage. But he doesn't just take her hostage. Like, he takes this woman hostage, and she just thinks she's getting an autograph. He takes her hostage, and with the plan to rape her. Like, he takes this woman who was just getting her cereal and getting her groceries, and he takes her down the basement exit and out the back, across the parking lot. Nobody seems to see or hear the screaming woman being abducted by this beautiful man. Her skirt's coming up, her panties are showing. He throws her in the back of a random rape van that just happens to be there. It's just so uncomfortable, and I'm shocked that nobody is picking up on what is happening here.
My biggest thing with this scene is he literally abducts her in the middle of a crowded grocery store, and nobody tries to help her. She's screaming. It's not like he has her mouth covered. She's screaming fucking bloody murder. He's dragging her through a parking lot. You see people walking by with their shopping carts. Nobody's trying to help this woman. He throws her in the back of the van, and in the meantime, Eve is back at the lab saying he wants to mate. Oh, he's going to rape her. He's going to rape her. And Gamble and Lennox rush out of the parking lot because Eve has told them he's now outside. He's in a van. They see a van that's like rocking vigorously up and down. And they fling the van doors open. And it's just a random teenage couple fucking in the parking lot of the Piggly Wiggly. And even Gamble's like, guys, get a fucking room next time. Ross is in a different van. And he's literally going to rape this woman, Roger, until he stops and he realizes, or he can recognize, that Eve is tapped into his mind. And he says the name Eve, and then he proceeds to yell at the woman to get out. He lets her go, doesn't rape her. Thank God we don't have to see that, but I'm sure she was traumatized plenty. She gets in her little car and drives away. And now Patrick is full speed fixated on finding Eve, and he kind of knows that she's probably back in the lab, because when Gamble and Lennox come upon him finally, they pull a gun on him and they're like, freeze. And Patrick's like, what are you doing? It's just me. And they tell him, we have to take you for your blood test. We need your DNA. And Patrick, of course, is like, yes, absolutely, I'll go to the lab with you, because he knows Eve is there.
He's plotting. I love that fake out where there are two identical rape vans parked right by each other, and they show up at the one that's rocking real hard, and they bust out the windows, and there just happens to be another couple fucking in a grocery store parking lot in this rape van. It's just, what are the chances? But thank God Darlene gets away. Oh my God. I was worried for her. And from here, things are moving real quick. I mean, he gets back to the fucking lab, and Eve starts sensing it. Eve knows. She knows it's coming. You know, she showed him during the hallucination. She looked over and she showed him exactly what floor she was on, even floor 4, I think it says. So he knows exactly where he's going. She's plotting with him. And one thing I think is interesting is, at this point, now that she's more alien, I almost question, when Eve does make decisions at certain points that are in favor of the humans, I'm kind of like, why? Why? Because right now, they're treating her like shit. She's kept like a fucking lab rat. And now, you know, this other alien that's part her, you know, she's half that species, shows up wanting to fuck her. And I would be like, yeah, I get it. He looks great, and you guys treat me like shit. I kind of understand why she'd want to run away with him. So I don't totally understand Eve's motivation at this point moving forward, because she seems really overtaken with the alien, but she's just like, more than anything, she doesn't really have any reason to stay true to the humans. Even Laura, who is, yes, you're a lab rat, but I'm going to take care of you. I don't know. It's not like Eve owes anybody anything. So I don't totally buy her motivations, but I like how the story progresses. I think it's kind of a banger last 10 to
I
15
mean,
minutes, if you will.
it goes fast. Like he's there at the lab. Eva sees him, and she's going into heat. Patrick suddenly attacks everyone he's with, and Eve is in there begging to be let out. He rushes into the room, to the enclosure where she is, and they touch glass at each other. And we get a flash vision of aliens having sex, because that's what's on their mind. Baker yells at him to leave. No, you open the door right now. And she says no. He grabs her, and literally a tentacle comes out of his mouth and goes into her mouth. Luckily, Lennox shows up just in time to spray him with that mist, and he takes off.
If I had to see Marge get that fucking tentacle down her throat, that is not something I was needing to see.
No, I'm glad it was stopped. Yeah, I mean, this tentacle goes right into her mouth, and I mean, if it would have lasted a second more, she probably would have been, dead. So
she also doesn't exude sexuality. Like, out of all the women in this film, Marge is the last one I need to see getting tentacles down throats. I mean, I personally don't need any women getting tentacles down throats, but she is definitely not the essence of sexuality, if you will. That's definitely Natasha taking the cake with that. But she gets plenty of tentacles coming up here soon, coming out of her nipples, out of all of her orifices. It's about to get real weird here. You mentioned the flashes. You start to see flashes of the aliens fucking. And again, sci-fi porn shit. Like, you're seeing some crazy shit. You're seeing aliens with tentacle dreadlocks, big fat nipples, boobies bouncing, clam-looking vaginas, weird-looking things. The aliens are kind of translucent, which is kind of cool, but it looks very erotic. It's hyper-erotic, these visuals. And it only gets weirder from here.
The colonel has basically gone to the senator to tell him that his son was infected, and basically shows the senator photos of Patrick's dead wife. Colonel says, you know what, I'll keep this under wraps. We'll get him the best treatment he can. And of course, Carter Ross is very, very defiant. He's like, you fucking touch a hair on my son's head, I'll kill you. And Colonel's like, you better calm down, old man, because you don't even understand. This is beyond you. This is beyond me. This is beyond even the president of the United States. So we go back to the lab, and Gamble, Dennis, is playing handsy on the glass with Eve, but she looks into his eyes for a minute and then backs away. And he makes a comment, Jesus Christ, I can't even get any ass from an alien. And Baker tells him, well, some people have a disease. You remember, Dennis, you have sickle cell, and you don't have sickle cell anemia, but you're a carrier. And alien DNA cannot cope with human genetic flaws because it has no defense against human diseases. And then she just has this, I mean, the answers, there's no, like, this is the answer. She's like, oh, that's our answer. We'll get your blood, your DNA, and we'll make a potion, a concoction that we can spray at these, and that'll end everything.
Laura is a miracle worker. I mean, I am so impressed at how they pull this off. And they're at it. They have the solution, and they produce this item very quickly. Back at the family barn, Patrick's father has shown up, and he's attempting to make amends with him. I like that he has one moment where he calls him Paddy, like Paddy, and he informs him that he knows he's infected. They share like this sentimental moment. They hug. Like, you kind of know what's coming here. Of course it's going to. But I'm kind of shocked at how like violent this kill is involving this character. You see these spikes come out, these tentacles come up out of Patrick when he starts hugging his father. And I like that the tentacles can sometimes be like tentacly, and other times they can be like really rigid and like spike-like. And so they turn into like spikes and they stab through the dad. And one of them like comes up through his throat. And it is really, really violent. It's a really shocking moment, but it's really fast. Like I mentioned earlier, I would have liked to have seen a little more expansion on this relationship. And he's very much just a plot device, but he does get a pretty damn cool kill.
And it comes at a moment where it's a tender moment between them, right? Carter tells his son, I'm here to help you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I'm going to get you the best treatment. Although I'm wondering what treatment, what treatment is there available to make somebody not an alien? I was kind of confused, but apparently the Mayo Center is going to have that answer because he's like, we'll take you. We're going to get you treatment. And then Patrick does have a moment of human where he's like, Dad, help me. And he starts to cry. And that's when he embraces. And all of a sudden, yeah, he's dead through the throat. It kills him. All the offspring are there looking on. Back at the lab, Dr. Baker gets Eve and tells her, we need your help with Patrick again. And Eve actually, now she refuses. She's like, I'm not helping you anymore. We go back to the barn and Patrick kisses one of the kids in the barn. And then this kid, basically tentacles emerge from this kid, go up to the ceiling of the rafters, wrap around, and this kid is pulled up into the rafters and this cocoon embraces him. So he's basically now in the chrysalis mode, right?
The chrysalis, the chrysalis mode. Yeah, this is a really cool visual. I love the kid like wipes his nose, and then you start to see like the tentacle like start to like emerge from his nose. It's gross, and all of a sudden they like shoot out of all of his orifices, like mouth, his ears, his nose, and they start to like lift him, and he's like hanging from these tentacles. It's really a really cool visual. You only see it happen this once. You see a bunch of other chrysalis pods around him, implying all the other boys are now kind of in that same stage. But yeah, I mean, it's a really, really cool moment.
Yes, and it's up in the stakes now because if he's able to become an adult, hatch out of the cocoon, it's the start of a lot of fucking and a lot of trouble. So everyone's gearing up. You get a little moment of Lennox and Gamble kind of arming up with different weapons, various weapons. Baker has Gamble's blood sample in a needle as a toxin that she plans to inject Patrick with. And you get this moment. It comes out of nowhere. Eve suddenly just out of nowhere busts through the glass of her enclosure and starts attacking the guards. And now she has like superhuman strength. She rips the door off the lab and she runs outside. Guards are deployed to shoot her. And she even busts that metal door, Roger, just busts through it. And as she's running, they just riddle her with bullets. And she collapses, just a bulleted, bloody mess. And for a second there, I did think that she was actually dead. But then she gets right back up and runs away from the scene as they fire more at her. And she gets into a Jeep and just drives away. And I love there's a line there where, how'd she learn to drive? And you hear Baker say, oh, her favorite show is Dukes of Hazzard. How does that teach you to drive? I don't know.
I enjoy the kind of Terminator-esque influence we see here with her. Her ability to regenerate. I don't want to say she's formidable. I don't think we get enough time with her as a villain in this film. We had that in the first film. Now she's like an anti-hero, if you will. But she's just looking to fuck. She's not looking to hurt anybody. She's just drawn to that dick. And I get it. And you got her in this sundress, the least sexy thing she's worn the whole film. She's in this sundress. When she jumps out of that window and her dress flips up, you see those little white panties. I mean, they give you a show. They make sure you see it. I do question, if she's able to just, all it takes is like a running sprint, bust through that glass wall. Like, how secure was this place to begin with? Is this truly secure enough to keep this alien force inside? Because it seems pretty easy that she's able to break out. I'm guessing it's because they hit her with the radio waves or whatever the fuck it was, the radiation, and they did say now she's more alien. I guess now she's stronger. So I guess that we're supposed to just excuse that. But this whole bit here of her running out and everything, it's pretty good. It's fun. She gets shot up. She drops down, the blood pools out, and it pulls back into her. And she just drives away. She's on a mission to fuck. She's like Troy on a weekend in Vegas. She's on her way to Fun Hog, and she's ready to get it in. And yeah, I mean, we're hitting this is the final act here. And it does move fast.
Yeah. So she is on a mission. Because remember, she's telepathically connected to Patrick, so she knows exactly where she's at. In the meantime, Baker, Lennox are following her, and there's helicopters following her. She gets to the barn, and she goes inside, and it's literally full of cocoons and shit, because now all the children have become in the cocoon form. Just as Eve gets into the barn, Baker, Gamble, and Lennox show up, and they actually go into the barn as well. And he's like, Lennox like, oh look, welcome to the maternity ward from hell. And you see all these cocoons pulsating all around them and things. It's very gooey looking. It's a really good. I mean, this is for the CGI misses that happened earlier in the film. I think this sort of redeems itself, which is good because it's the end of the film, right? And I think they saved the best for last. Eve finds Patrick and immediately drops her robe. We see Natasha Henstridge's boobs, in full glory. He takes off his shirt, and these two just start making out before they transform Roger into full-fledged aliens. I mean, we're getting tentacle rubbing, we're getting everything.
It is graphic alien sex. It's a lot to take in, and take it in they do. Take it in she does, and nipples opening up, tentacles coming out of them. I mean, it's getting weird. The gang shows up. Dennis and Laura enter without issues, and she's like, "Oh my God!" Oh, she's just in awe of what she's seeing, and they start just spraying everything with that mist. That mist is really getting it done. And there's that whole moment where Les is like, we're just gonna chop them up, and she's like, no, the mist is actually working, and all the fucking chrysalis pods start sprouting tentacles and freaking out, and so apparently the mist is doing something. But yeah, I mean, we're getting these intercuts of these aliens just fuck it, and like, I don't know, man. I mean, it is borderline uncomfortable. I mean, these aliens are really going at it. He's railing her. He is railing her. In fact, like when they finally confront the alien coming up here, he's still railing poor Natasha Hendricks alien. He's still fucking her as he fights them. Like, they are in doggy style position for the first half of this final battle that's coming up here. It's shocking. It's impressive. But yeah, I mean, we're about to hit this big confrontation, and we're going to really see what is Patrick in alien form for the first time. And I got to say, you mentioned the CGI kind of redeems itself here. I really think that this final design, because it is mixed with some practical, you can tell quite a lot of it actually. This final design for his alien specifically is pretty awesome. I love how it's humanoid, but really it's not. It looks kind of unlike anything else I've ever seen. The only thing that really came to mind when I saw it was, strangely enough, the entity from the 2017 folklore horror, The Ritual. Like, it almost has the similar structure to it in a way. Not saying these things are at all similar. They're not, but the design of the creature itself, it reminds me of that. And so, yeah, I really just want to take a moment to say, like, for building up to this final moment, they do give us quite a show. It goes by quick, but this thing looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah, no, it's really impressive. It's really impressive. Unfortunately, Gamble is grabbed around the throat by one of the tentacles and thrown to the ground. And Baker is screaming at the Eve alien. She's like, Eve, I know you're in there. Please help us. Instead, the Patrick alien splits into two. There's this really cool moment where it splits into two, and one of it attacks Eve and shoves a tentacle down her throat as poor Baker watches on as basically the Eve alien is killed. Baker is trying to ward this thing off because now it's even bigger and it's attacking. It doesn't work. Gamble's over there on the floor. He's like, use my blood. So Lennox grabs pitchfork and stabs his leg, and then they get some of the blood and launch it at the creature. And I mean, it works. I mean, the creature is crawling towards them, and all of a sudden it just drops over dead.
They're really going out on a limb with this being the way to defeat this creature, and it ends up working, and it is shocking, and it is surprising. Good on them. I am baffled how they managed to come up with this nonsense and have it be a reasonable outcome, but here we are. I love, like, you've got that moment where Laura's like, Eve, I know you're still part human, help us. And Eve's on it. And she all of a sudden makes her spikes go erect, so they tear through Patrick. And again, I don't totally understand why she's even helping Laura, but okay, I'll roll with it. Eve is still kind of like a good guy, I guess. And so Patrick gets freaked out. He's so pissed off, and he's throwing everyone around, and he gets up on top of her. And there's that whole part, like you mentioned, where the head splits open. And I mean, it's a really great effect, but like, as if things weren't already sexually awkward in this film, now we have to watch this sexy, slutty female alien with these Botox inflated lips, throat, a fucking tentacle, like a veiny ass penile looking tentacle, and it's going up and down. It's going for miles down her throat and just choking her out. And I'm like, God, I have never seen a movie get this porny ever. And it's so weird. It's so gross watching it. But that's what kills her. Literally deep throating this tentacle to death. And then even in death, this poor woman, she can't even like not be objectified after she's passed away. They do that slow pan up her alien body. You see her weird alien vagina, her alien boobies with her alien nipples, and then it's Natasha Henstridge's face, and you're like, oh, she's dead. Yeah, it's such a sexualized way to take this character out, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, what else do you expect from Species 2? Other than slutty deaths. And there is this one moment too where Laura, like after she realizes that she's been deep-throated to death, she turns and she's like, you killed her, you bastard! And she's spraying the mist, gritting her teeth, really looking like a badass for a moment. It's such a cheesy final moment and such a sexy final moment, but it's also a badass final moment. Like this final showdown with this creature as he starts melting in front of them. And again, the effects really come together in this sequence. I still feel really satisfied with this ending, even though it's cheesy and absurd and really hypersexualized. I still feel like it's like a fun way to conclude the film.
It's fun. It is fun. I like the fact that it goes fast. I mean, I think that plays in the film's favor, particularly because the effects and stuff, you don't linger too much on anything to make it look bad. And I just love the fast pacing. I mean, we're in, we're out. It gets the job done. The film has been that way throughout the entire runtime, where there's no real hesitation. Like everything just falls into place, as we've mentioned. Like decisions are made and it's the right decision. Conclusions are drawn, it's the right conclusion. And that's kind of how this ending pans out. But once poor Eve is deep-throated to death, which is ironic because I just saw an article saying that oral sex, Roger, now is one of the leading causes of throat cancer. So this movie was an early warning to not take things too deep down your throat. But
I've definitely got throat cancer.
But
definitely got it.
Oh boy! But Eve her body returns to human form, and she's wheeled out on that stretcher along with Gamble. Because his leg is fucked up because they stabbed him in the leg to get his blood. He is put on that helicopter with that nurse that he's instantly flirting with, and it makes you really think that while they're in the helicopter, he's going to bone this nurse. She's all giddy and excited. He's like, "Oh, I'm just another day of me fighting off aliens," trying to impress her. We get into the back of the ambulance. Who the fuck are these ambulance people? Because they allow cats in the back of the ambulance, and they allow children, because her poor dead body is like sitting on the stretcher in the back of the ambulance. All of a sudden we get a cat jump scare. Like, what? Where did this cat come from? Did the ambulance people not see that there was a cat in the ambulance? Like, I feel like that would be a health issue. You don't want a cat around like people that have open wounds but it jumps on her stomach. Not only that, Roger, there's a fucking kid perched up in the corner, like one of the offspring, just watching down at poor dead Natasha Henstridge, as all of a sudden her stomach starts to grow, and the film ends with it exploding into the camera, and that's the end of the film.
The last thing you hear is as her stomach inflates and that cherub looks down from the roof of the of the ambulance, all of a sudden you just hear Natasha Hendricks in the sexiest way possible, like, oh, like, like a death groan, I guess, but I'm also thoroughly convinced it's an orgasm. It is such a weird note to end on with this sexy groan as her stomach erupts, I'm sure. But you know, movies like this, they love a cliffhanger. The last one had a cliffhanger as well. And this one, you know, understandably so. They did make a sequel. Um, but overall, this is, aside from a very brief cameo, this is her last appearance in the franchise. So I will say I feel that this series did, I don't want to say I lost something, but I think part of the biggest aspect of the marketing ploy of this film overall is Natasha Henstridge having such a beautiful, hypnotically beautiful look to her. And I think there's few individuals who can compare with the bone structure, the overall just, you know, that visual of her is so striking. So I think anyone else kind of pales in comparison. But you know what? This film gets so much hate, and I'm curious now, after having gone through the whole thing with you and talking about it with you, do you feel like it's warranted?
I don't, honestly. Again, here's the thing, as I have not seen another Species movie. I haven't seen the first one. I don't know. I mean, maybe the hate it gets is because I don't know if the first one was actually like a really good movie. Was it like critically acclaimed? I mean, you said it did really well. So maybe it was just a step down story wise, because let's be honest, there's not a lot of story in this film and things are just so rushed through. So I'm wondering, like, I would have to see the first film, you know, to see if this warrants the hate. Because if the first film was some masterpiece or something like, you know, held in high regard, like the Terminator or something like that, and then you come with this sequel that is rather silly and exploitative and just, you know what I mean? Like we've talked about it. Like it's kind of sleazy. I could see why people would hate it. But as a standalone film, me watching this for the first time, it's fucking absurd. But Roger, I was so entertained the entire time. Yeah, I guess that's my answer. I have to see the first one to see why people would consider this one bad. I mean, it's not a good movie, but I don't understand the vitriol towards it if that exists.
Yeah, well, it does not exist amongst the gays, and I really think that they're going to enjoy this episode from us, especially because it's so fucking horny. Troy and I in heat talking about Species 2, and I'm curious if our sex drive is going to carry over into the next episode. I have no idea what you're picking, so Troy, tell me, is it another horny title?
That has, yeah, based on the clip that you sent me, we'll find out. Here's the thing, guys. I want to know your thoughts on Species 2. We always ask for you to chime in to give your thoughts and opinions on the films we cover. So please let us know Species 2, what you think of it, why it may be considered, you know, a hated film. Again, I haven't seen any of the other ones. If you guys have, let me know. Also, Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating and review if you'd love to. We would really appreciate that. And yes, I'm doing something really unique for our next episode, but I don't think I couldn't wait. Like, I did not want to let this moment pass me by because, Roger, you sent me a clip. Oh, about what, a week and a half ago. And I was so enamored by this clip, and I found out that what the film it was from. And I'm like, we have to cover this because it's right up my alley. I don't know. I've never seen the film, and I usually don't pick films that I haven't seen, but this clip convinced me to pick it. It's on Tubi. It's 1988's Wood Chipper Massacre.
God, I can't fucking wait. I saw this clip. That's all I've ever seen is this fucking clip. I've never seen the movie either. Troy and I were going in blind together. I mean, this is going to be a fucking riot. I can already tell based off this clip alone. If any of you have seen it, please don't spoil it for us. Let us have this moment together. Virgins. After such a horish episode, let's have a virginal moment together. We deserve it. Troy and I, so pure.
Well, yeah.
We're so pure as we go into Wood Chipper Massacre.
Wood Chipper. I've never seen this film. I don't even know what to expect. Based on the clip, I think we're getting in deep with this one. So yeah,
I can't wait.
Wood Chipper Massacre.
Speaking of getting in deep.
Yeah. Wood Chipper. Wood Chipper Massacre next week, guys. Let us know if you've seen it. But yeah. With that, we thank you for joining us each week. And yeah, just give us some love on Apple Podcasts. And we will be back with you next week. Less horny. With that, good night.